Speaker of the House of People's Representatives of Ethiopia, Aba-dula Gemeda, headed an Ethiopian public diplomacy delegation that visited Egypt in December 2014. The 66-member delegation included Muslim and Christian religious leaders, academics, former ambassadors, women entrepreneurs, parliamentarians, artists, journalists, Miss Ethiopia, and other prominent figures. The Ethiopian delegation met with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab, Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri, Al-Azhar Grand Imam Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib, and Coptic Orthodox Pope Tawadros II. The delegation also met the Egyptian public diplomacy delegation that visited Ethiopia in 2012, along with members of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs and the Ethiopian-Egyptian Business Council. The Ethiopian delegation is the first of its kind to visit Egypt. The goal was to further strengthen the good relations between Ethiopia and Egypt and set the basis for consolidating people-to-people ties. Peace in Focus spoke exclusively to Honorable Aba-dula Gemeda. Joining Peace in Focus is Honorable Aba-dula Gemeda, Speaker of the House of People's Representatives of Ethiopia. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining Peace in Focus. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to interview by your television.
Ethiopia and Egypt are bound by long and deeply rooted ties dating back to the early 25th century BCE, to the reign of 5th dynasty Pharaoh Sahura, when ancient Egypt first traded with the land of Punt. Coptic Christianity was introduced into Ethiopia from Egypt in the 4th century. Modern diplomatic relations between both countries were established in 1927, and they are the oldest in Africa and one of the oldest in the world. Before the 1952 Egyptian Revolution, Egypt had only one diplomatic mission in Africa, which was in Ethiopia. Your Excellency, as an Ethiopian citizen and an influential politician, how do you evaluate Ethiopian-Egyptian relations today?
As you mentioned, the Ethio-Egyptian relation is long back, before the modern statehood created in this area, and all civilizations are connected. The pyramid, the Pharaoh pyramid, was Aksumite kingdom and others. And nowadays, in modern era, the two countries have a strong relationship, culture, tradition, history, and of course we share one river. So our relation is deep-rooted, extremely deep-rooted. But according to my evaluation, we are not using this deep-rooted relationship to our benefits, to benefit to the Egyptian people and the Ethiopian people, both sides. We have a lot of problems in this area. That is not the problem of two sides. Especially we had internal problem for a long time, and we stayed in the civil war. So we are not, as a country, we are not looking to development, and we are not looking our neighbors to share development. More or less for the more than 100 years, we're focusing on our internal problem, to solve our internal problem. So we are not that much connected. We are naturally connected, traditionally connected, culturally connected, but we are not benefited from this connection. Nowadays, we are started to think. I know during the Emperor Haile Selassie and the Gamal Abdel Nasser, those two leaders had a good relation. and also they were the good leader of Africa in this area, not only for the region, not only for their for the two countries. They were leading Africa, and they were coming together. They were moving together. After that, as I mentioned, there was interruption, not because of the problem between Egypt and Ethiopia, because of our problem, internal problem. So early after 1991, after we conclude our internal problems, especially our civil war, and we overthrow the dictatorial communist regime from Ethiopia, we were thinking again. We put our constitution, which is democratic constitution. That constitution clearly puts how to live with our neighbors, how to live with our close neighbors and with worlds. And also we have clear foreign policy, which is very important to lead our government and our society to develop and to change our society. We are not going to change our society alone. We need our neighbors, immediate neighbors, and others. So we are not live alone. We are very clear. After that, we started again back to work together. So maybe after now on, we'll benefit each other. We need each other. And we work each other because we know each other. Traditionally, we are linked, as I said. Naturally, we are linked. So more than any country, we benefit each other.
I remember Egyptian children playing with gunpowder called Habasha Italia or Abyssinia versus Italy, and they used it to play hide and seek, which indicates how the Ethiopian struggle for independence was very much embedded in the Egyptian culture.
Yes, of course. Actually, Ethiopia is not colonized ever. From 1684 something, many European invaders were coming to Ethiopia in different ways. Some of by east, by crossing Red Sea, some of by crossing Egypt and Sudan, but all stopped on the border. That colonial intention was concluded by the Italians after Ethiopian people defeated the Italian attempt. Everything was stopped. We stayed with proud. Actually, when we are stayed with proud, we are not alone. We had our African brothers which supporting our movement, our struggle against colonialism.
Was Egypt part of it?
Yes, of course. Yes, because when we were fighting Italians, especially the fascist Italians, around 1930 something, the Britain was on Second World War. Britannians were helping us at that time for the last. They were here, they come through Sudan, and they enter Ethiopia with our forces from the west. So, I mean, Egyptians were our supporters, including Sudan and others.
Ethiopia has always feared the dominance of a single Islamist group, namely the Muslim Brotherhood, over Egyptian politics. Do you think that the current atmosphere is more conducive to strengthening relations between Ethiopia and Egypt?
Yes. You know, Ethiopia have especially two religions are living by harmony for thousands of years, Christianity and the Muslim. We host Christianity after Jerusalem, and also we host...
In the 7th century, the Muslims,
we
they
host,
fled persecution from Mecca,
yes,
and they went to Ethiopia.
Yes, and so we are working on the harmony of the religion existence in our country. Religion is out of government, and they are operating.
But my question is, you were not actually comfortable with the existence of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, dominating Egyptian politics, right?
That is the issue of the Egyptian people. From our side, we leave this issue for our Egyptian brothers. But from our side, from our view, we don't support any extremism, rather even the political extreme or the Christian or the Muslim. We need democratic Egypt.
You were former Minister of National Defense of Ethiopia and former Chief of Intelligence. The Ethiopian government has earned praise in the West for promoting religious diversity at home, while also battling Islamist extremism in the region. So Ethiopia is also involved.
Yeah, involved, yeah. We are not involved in Somalia to manage the difference of the religion. We involved in Somalia to manage the terrorist activity which is cultivated in that area.
Which is related to Islamist extremism.
Yeah, no, actually it is not a religion case. Any is not, from my understanding, Islamism is not created. Islam not create terrorism, because there is nothing on Quran to be a terrorist. Islam is a religion of peace. That I'm not Muslim, but I know in my country, I grew up in Muslim community, and I know some of the Quran. I don't know like Bible. There is no any terrorist intention on Quran. So Islam is not the source of terrorism. Not at all. Islam is not the source of terrorism in Somalia or Iran or somewhere. It is a political intention. It's an instrument. So we have to clarify the terrorism and the religion. So from my experience, we are very clear. We treat terrorism in Somalia, elsewhere. We fight, but we are not fighting. We are not suspecting Muslim for 1 day, for 1 second, because Muslim is not the source of terrorism.
You headed an Ethiopian public diplomacy delegation comprising 66 members that visited Egypt in December 2014. How successful was your 4-day trip to Cairo?
When we are coming here, we were very sure we can explain our intention to the Egyptian people. The Egyptian people understand us, and we can hear their concern from their mouths. That was our plan. And our plan was succeeded. We understood one thing. They are not objecting the development of Ethiopia. That is very important for us and important for our society, because the media from different areas says Egyptians are not want the development of Ethiopia. This is a message go to Ethiopian people. So always Ethiopians, those Egyptians are not want to develop Ethiopia, just they want to seize the poor country. But this is false. Actually, we politicians are not, the Egyptians are not object our development.
Actually, President Sisi has repeated this and reiterated this many times.
Yeah.
And you met actually President Sisi.
Yes, at the end we met His Excellency President. He made it clear. The Egyptian people and the Egyptian government will be the supporter of the Ethiopian development. On the other side, we share the Egyptian concern because Egyptians are 90 million people. They are living in 5% of the land which is on the Nile River. Everything depends on the Nile. We know before we come this fact. And also when His Excellency President and others explained about this problem, we more understand about the issue. So we share the concern. We share the concern, and also we have no intention to harm our Egyptian brothers and sisters, not for a day, for a second.
The Ethiopian delegation that you led included 66 popular figures from all walks of Ethiopian life. How did this disparity help in the talks and dialogue between the Ethiopians and Egyptians?
Yes, because, if you want to make it small, maybe we will bring from the government. The government is already engaged on the talk, on the discussion, and negotiation. But we have to come out from this sector, and we bring all sector of the society, including the parties out of the government. So to talk. And through our discussion, everybody is explained, and he says his view, and is interviewed by a lot of newspaper and so on and so.
Will the visit of the Ethiopian public diplomacy delegation to Cairo help in shaping the agenda of the Ethiopian parliament? How much impact will the visit of the Ethiopian public diplomacy delegation have on the Ethiopian government? And I'm addressing you now not just as Parliament Speaker, but also as former Minister of National Defense of Ethiopia and former Chief of Intelligence.
Of course, yes. First of all, we need confidence from Egyptian side. If there is a confidence,
building trust.
Building trust, yeah. Building trust. If we build trust, the Egyptians are build trust on Ethiopians, it will be good to open discussion between two governments and two peoples. If there is unfair things, you don't hear any third party, you can come together as a brothers. You can discuss, please, this is not. You can agree on the good side for both. That came from the trust. I wanted to tell you one thing, what the Pope said.
Coptic Orthodox Pope Tawadros II. Yes,
on his gift, he prepared a lot of gifts for every delegation.
For every member of the delegation?
Every member of the delegation.
Really?
Yes.
66 gifts?
Yes. One said, love it never die. So if there is a love, a trust between us, never die. Everything will be solved. Everything will be solved. So from our side, when we are coming, when we are preparing a public diplomacy, the government to government are already started discussion. His Excellency President Sisi and our Prime Minister Haile Mariam met 2 times in New York and Malabo. we are very grateful for His Excellency President. He's opened the door for discussion. And also there is a technical committee which is working on this issue. The result will be positive. From the people's side, we want to express our willingness because in our constitution, the government come out from the people, not government from the people from the government. So if the government, if the people is agreed and understand, he shape the government.
So how long do you need to build this trust? I mean, like now, I mean, when you're going back, I mean, what the parliament, will it affect in any way the agenda of the parliament, this visit, or you need to build more trust?
No, yeah, from our side, this not only a parliament, from all sides. The first thing, we explain to Ethiopian people all the issues. We explain to the Prime Minister, to our President, to the Ethiopian people through media, how we convey our message, what's the concern of the Egyptian people. As I told you, the first thing, not only from this side, it needs a trust from Ethiopian people on Egyptians. The Egyptians have nothing on the development of Ethiopia. Rather, they are ready to support our development. This is a source of confidence. This is a source of trust. We hear from the president. We hear from the religious leaders. We hear from those career diplomats. So we have to tell. This is a source of trust and confidence. Again, we tell to the Ethiopian people the concern of the Egyptians. We know this is spoken by our Prime Minister, the late Prime Minister and the current Prime Minister so many times. But we are here, we hear from the mouth of the horse. So we go in details. So this is, I think this mission, this delegation, and the report we give to the Ethiopian people and our leaders will take the issue forward.
An African quote says, "You think the worm is dancing, but that is merely the way it walks. You think Sango is fighting you, but that is merely the way he is." And this brings me to my question about the role of the media. Your Excellency, it's no secret that there are media outlets in Ethiopia, Egypt, and other Nile Basin countries too that disseminate inaccurate information and misperceptions and create the other as an enemy. How can this be dealt with while guaranteeing freedom of expression?
Actually, you are correct. The many medias have intention to create violence, and some of the medias have no intention to tell to the people the good thing, always starting from the bad. And I think it is better to strengthen the Nile Basin media network, to have a common interest, a common stand, and to discuss together and to work for the people. Also, if there is not important thing to expose to the people, not to cover. So for me, it is very important to strengthen the Nile Basin media network. Already it is established. That establishment, for me, it is good. The intention of this Nile Basin media network is to promote peace, good relation between the Nile Basin peoples, countries. So this is
You mean to activate it then, if it is already there?
It is already there.
Does it monitor media performance? It doesn't, right?
No, no.
Do you think we need a mechanism to monitor media performance?
I think it is not useful to monitor. It is important to have such kind of common understanding on common interest. If we have common understanding on common interest, we don't need to monitor. I have a trust on you, on Egyptian television and the print media, and we have a confidence on Ethiopian media. If there is something, you can clarify from both sides. So you don't need to monitor, but need to have understanding on common interest. I wanted to tell you one thing. Yesterday we met the intellectuals. I learned one thing. Most of them said from Egyptian side, we don't know you. Your print about your writing about Ethiopia is not coming to Egypt, and you don't know us. Our books are not going to Ethiopia, and we hear from the third party about Ethiopia. You hear from the third party about Egypt. So they said this is a problem. I think this is a problem. We don't need to hear the third party. We have to hear from ourselves.
In reaction to your visit, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has expressed readiness to visit the Ethiopian parliament and address the Ethiopian people through their own parliament. His message will probably be that it is the right of the Ethiopian people to develop, and it is the right of the Egyptian people to protect and secure their water interests in the Nile River to be able to live.
It is the first time if His Excellency President came and addressed directly the Ethiopian people through the parliament. It is a breakthrough.
Really?
Yes, for our relationship, for our negotiation, for our everything. Because we are not enemies. Why we are sit far away? It's good to talk our interests. So if you know our interests, both sides, and we can narrow it, our differences. And this is not only the issue of the government. It's the issue of the Egyptian people. It's the issue of the Ethiopian people. So if the president came and explained, address the parliament, and through the parliament to the Ethiopian people, we are very glad.
Honorable Aba-dula Gemeda, Speaker of the House of People's Representatives of Ethiopia, thank you so much for joining Peace in Focus. It has been interesting talking to you, sir.
Thank you for giving me to explain about Ethiopian public diplomacy and about Ethiopian view about the relationship with Egyptian people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.